Today on the AI Applied podcast, Connor and I are talking about some major drama in the AI landscape, and that is between Mark Zuckerberg and pretty much everyone, but really it feels like he's been targeting OpenAI. So just like a week or two ago, we had Sam Altman, who was on a podcast with his brother talking about what he quote unquote said was, and we've later found out that this might not be literal, but he said, like, Meta's coming to our top engineers, our top researchers, and offering them $100 million to leave. And he's like, and thankfully, none of them have done it yet. Okay, so fast forward to this week, and a whole bunch of OpenAI researchers have left and decided to join Meta's new Superintelligence team. So obviously that didn't work. In like looking at a little bit more into the details, it's not that they've made like $100 million offers. Apparently they did offer multi-million dollar offers. So very big salaries. Like it isn't a small number by any means, but it may not be 100 million. Then there's like the equity and investing and shares and stuff that probably plays into what he was calling $100 million. And when you're talking $100 million, maybe they're trying to get like Ilya Sutskever or someone like that. But in any case, this is a lot of money, and OpenAI is now scrambling to try to keep people. Connor, tell me what you're seeing, because this is a crazy story.
I think the last part of what you're saying is interesting there, Jaeden. OpenAI now scrambling to keep people. I think OpenAI realized that they may be underpaying their people. The market is just what the market is, right? I mean, you can't sort of say, oh, that's too much for people. If that's what the market bears, then that's the market. I mean, this is sort of no secret that Zuckerberg is going after everybody. This has been in the news for a little while, but I think what we're seeing more recently is who he's gone after and who he's gotten. And it's a bunch of people from OpenAI. It's a bunch of people from Google DeepMind. It does, in fact, seem like in some of these cases, Jaeden, it was a kind of averaging like, $100 million over the, or per year, or whatever, even over the course of their contract, kind of like, a 3-year deal worth whatever. It's pretty stunning. Right. But then, Jaeden, when you see the people that they've hired away, and you and I were looking on X earlier about this, it's unbelievable. These are folks that literally built. I mean, so for example, just to kind of give you a sense of who Meta has poached away, and I don't worry about like the names I'll probably butcher. I apologize, but it's sort of like, Trapit Bansal, Shucho B, Hongyu Ren, Jiaihu Yu, etc. But just to kind of give you a sense of their titles and what they've done, they're the co-creators of the O series model. So when you see like, GPT-4o, co-creators of GPT-4o voice mode and O4 mini, previously held post-training models for O and the reasoning models, led the perception teams, led synthetic data efforts, etc. These are not, here are some folks. Here are the people who literally helped create things like reasoning models and things like that. So that's number one. They have poached these people away. More interesting, maybe, is what does this mean? Like, what is Zuckerberg doing? Because we have heard that he has gotten personally involved in the recruiting. He's been making calls, all that kind of stuff. I saw, Jaeden, you and I were kind of laughing at this when we were texting about this when we weren't doing a podcast, but just about how people would pick up the phone and not believe that it was Zuckerberg and like hang up on him, which is absolutely amazing. But the other things, and Jaeden, by the way, is showing some really cool images of who they poached away. A couple other things on this, Jaeden, is this is all on the heels of Alexander Wang, who's the former CEO of Scale AI. And I don't know how old that dude is, but it's like late 20s or something, right? Like early 30s, I don't even know. And also they got Nat Friedman in, the former GitHub CEO and huge investor. They brought him in. And so now the people who used to be the big names on Meta, sort of the Jan LeCuns, is now like Jan LeCun is kind of like working for Alexander Wang, if my math is right on all this. So anyway, so point being, Meta AI is going all in. And one of the things, Jaeden, I just want to kind of toss out at you is that the information, it's really just, it's Stephanie Palazzolo, who's one of my favorite people. She writes for The Information. She sends out a daily newsletter every day. And what she says, and I just want to kind of like just share this real quick. And the title is Why Meta Should Give Up on Superintelligence. And this is just sort of something to kind of like stick in our brains here for a second. It's like, hey, Meta is on a tear recruiting for superintelligence. But then she asks, and this is somebody who's really cued in, why are they going after it, right? She's like, and I'm quoting from her newsletter from, I think it's today, we can understand why Meta, wouldn't want to depend on other models like OpenAI and Anthropic. By the way, this kind of goes to what Apple is doing, but we can talk about that later. But like, even if we assume that people want to use chatbots in Meta apps, it's not clear whether those users are using the assistant, on purpose for this. It's not clear why PhD level AI is necessary. And, and so what she's saying is like, you should give up on superintelligence. And I say all that to say, Jaeden, what is happening here? Does Zuckerberg just need to be sort of at the cutting edge of it? Because it really feels like something like Meta would be a perfect example of somebody that just could use an AI model to help, speed ahead with, Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook and all these other things. Does it really need Llama? Does it really need this? Anyway, so much to talk about with this.
Yep. Okay, so here's the thing. Mark Zuckerberg has serious trust issues. And a lot of this stems from the fact, I think, his bad relationship with Apple. So we've seen Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook grew enormously, was incredibly profitable, still is obviously incredibly profitable. Apple came along, did a bunch of their privacy security updates, and essentially stopped Facebook from gathering a bunch of data and tracking and doing stuff. Zuckerberg put up a massive stink. And because he did not own the platform, he had no say. He tried to get people to sign petitions because it's going to hurt small businesses, all this stuff. And to no avail, it fell on deaf ears. Tim Cook kind of chuckled the whole time because, deep down inside, these billionaires, if they can just kind of, stick one in the ribs of another billionaire, it brings them immense pleasure. And so we get to this point where, like, Zuckerberg does not want to be in a position where where Apple is today. So to him, this is probably funny. He's like, look, Apple kind of screwed us over. Apple is in a very bad position today. They don't look innovative. They don't look like they're on top of their game. We have another episode we're going to talk about where they're essentially gave up on their own internal AI. But he doesn't want to be relying on someone else and like at the mercy essentially of someone else. And also, this is a massive company. Like, there is no reason for Meta to have to rely on someone else. They have so much money, so many resources. The last reason, or the last point I'll bring up, is talent. If you want to recruit the best talent, you have to be doing the most cutting edge, the most exciting thing. And so on the one hand, yes, they're spending a lot of money, but I think that a lot of these companies like OpenAI, when they're trying to compete with Meta right now, and like they're apparently reevaluating their salaries that they're offering people because Meta's hiring people and paying them so much. I don't know if Sam Altman realizes Zuckerberg's the guy that just burnt like, I don't know, $40 billion on like VR headsets that sort of went nowhere. I mean, I guess they do have the Meta Ray-Bans that came out, which I just feel like was like a random throwaway project that ended up maybe being their most popular thing from this. I'm sure people will hate me on that because they're like, no, those were, the culmination of the $40 billion, whatever. Okay. So Zuckerberg will spend a lot of money to do the coolest, newest thing, and he needs to in order to keep the top talent. And if he doesn't, the top talent's going to go to OpenAI. They're going to go to Apple. They're going to build cool things. And he's going to be at the mercy of these companies. He does not want to be at anyone else's mercy. He needs to build it homegrown. They're implementing it in a lot of different ways, but they don't want to just tie into an API because this could be a very bad situation where essentially someone says, look, we're going to charge you way more because you have such high usage for it. Like, if you think about the scale of implementing, let's say, OpenAI inside of Meta, if they didn't have a really cheap way to run that AI, like they're kind of trying to do with Llama, they're trying to build their own chips. They're really trying to cut the cost. If they don't have that, their bill is going to be massive to OpenAI. So he doesn't want any of that. He's willing to spend the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to just do it himself. And I'm here for it. To be honest, it feels kind of gangster to me.
Yeah, it's not your money. What do you care, man? You're here for it. Listen to you, like spending Zuckerberg's money like so easily. Like, get out of his wallet, man. Listen, I mean, I'm not. I don't know if I disagree or not. Like, I guess I'm kind of thinking the same thing that Stephanie Palazzolo from The Information was saying, which is, I agree that they need their own model, but they have Llama. I mean, Elon spun up Grok in like 25 minutes, and it's your favorite model, right? So,
True.
So in terms of, what do they need? Do they need super intelligence? And what he is going for here is super intelligence, right? I mean, he's trying to hire the absolute best minds. And I'm wondering sort of like what this does to Llama. And it reminds me, by the way, and just sort of like a quick plug also for what Jaeden is doing, sort of with AIbox.ai is Jaeden's software company, which is like phenomenal. For $20 a month, you have access to all the different models. I use it all the time. Again, $20 a month instead of spending, on Claude, on Grok, on everything else. $20 a month gets you access to all of them, because what you can do in AI Box is, and by the way, it's taking off. So we're super, super grateful that it's taking off. But and when I say we, I mean me as a friend to Jaeden. This is Jaden's baby here. But the cool thing is that you can now see, like, maybe Llama sort of like starts to make a big comeback, because Llama's in AI Box too, right? But most importantly, that's what I do. I jump from model to model to model to try to figure out the best thing. But I'm paying hundreds of dollars to get all that stuff. So check out AI Box for sure. Again, $20 a month for all this is amazing. But maybe this is what brings about like a phenomenal llama, which, by the way, is also open source. So I guess my question, and I know we're sort of like coming up to the end of this, Jade, but like when you think about this, like, is he trying to build llama? Is he trying to build superintelligence for something greater? Because he must be looking past his social media platforms, right?
I think, like, a lot of people, when they say super intelligent, like, this is going to be very valuable. It's going to be incredibly useful. I know we don't need to convince anybody of this. I would just point you to this one really interesting, like, concept. I can't remember if this was a post or an article, so sadly I don't have the credit to shout out. But the person essentially was noting, they're like, "Have you noticed how all of the big AI companies have switched from saying AGI and are now saying super intelligence?"
Yeah,
And
I've seen
it
it too.
really, to me, underscores the fact that a lot of AGI and superintelligence is like the hype, it's the vision, it's what you need in order to get all of the resources, an absurd amount of money, pay people an absurd amount of things, get absurdly talented people to work on building the best AI models. If you're not the number one best AI model, there's a very small list of, I think, number 2 and number 3, because OpenAI right now has run away with the market. They have an incredible product and products that all tie together. This is the thing where, like, I love Grok for a phase. I'm actually kind of like phased. I don't know if it's like my number one model right now, because OpenAI has gotten a bit better, and like, that's how I am. I'm not loyal to any model. It's whatever model I feel like is giving me the best results is usually what I'll switch to. When Grok 3 first came out, 100% hands down, that was the best model in my opinion, best results. And now I feel like OpenAI is coming back, and also the reason why I find myself drawn to ChatGPT a lot is because of a lot of their tools they have, some of their GPTs, some of their extra software add-ons, some of their integrations, their connections. Like, these are very useful things. All of that infrastructure, though, you need top talent to build a lot of these things. And so Mark Zuckerberg knows that. I think he got frustrated that Llama, and I was on board with this too, was really falling behind. I don't know what happened to Jan LeCun. I don't want to throw shade his way. Whenever he quit Twitter, like, I don't know if that was 6 months or a year ago or something, and went over to Threads, I haven't heard from him since. So I don't really know what was going on at Meta. I hope that all the people that Zuckerberg has added recently, like Alex Wang and stuff, like, I hope they're actively posting stuff where people are, because I like to hear the updates and see them. It really did feel like Llama was falling quite behind, and I wasn't touching it with a 10-foot pole because just the results weren't that good. Now, if they bring in this rockstar team and they do a la Elon Musk with XAI, put a ton of money, a ton of talent, and build something crazy and cool and really compete with OpenAI, yeah, I will give it a try. But right now, it's not there, and Zuckerberg knows that. So I think he doesn't want to become like, he doesn't want his AI to become MySpace. He wants it to stay relevant. And he learned from, I think, his Instagram acquisition, you got to acquire either talent or other companies to stay number one. So it seems like his playbook.
MySpace. This is a great call out. This is a great way to end the show on MySpace. Listen, totally. I agree with that. I would love for Meta insiders to sort of like talk about what they think is going on here. Listen, if you have enjoyed the podcast, as we said, first of all, best thing you can do, check out AIbox.ai. Again, this thing is an unbelievable tool. I'd be promoting it anyway because I like Jaeden, but also it's this absolutely phenomenal tool that will save you tons of time and money. And you can sort of like check out all the models side by side. It really is an unbelievable product. AIbox.ai. And leave us a rating and review, because you know that you want to today. You know today's the day. Listen, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.